We always hear that life is that period which we would term as measured by the date of birth and the other date, which we are scared to refer to. That is the day when one departs. Sometimes people decide to bring that day earlier than what probably is due, and we refer to that as suicide. Suicide word is a very strong word, and we are scared of it. And people who are scared or who are looking at finding some answers to move on have often approached someone who I am going to be talking to now. Joining me from Jaipur, psycho-spiritual counselor Dr. Nitin Saraswat ji. Nitin ji, स्वागत, नमस्ते, वेलकम.
नमस्कार सर.
सर, ये सीधी बात वहाँ से शुरू करते हैं. बहुत सारे लोग आपको अलग अलग समस्याओं के समाधान के लिए या कंसल्टेंसी के लिए कॉल करते हैं, बट आई एम अवेयर दैट देयर हैव बीन मेनी पीपल हु approached you when they were contemplating suicide. Is that right? How many would you say over a period of last 2 decades or so have been in that situation who called you?
More than 100. And to be I think the number may go, if we talk about just contemplating suicide, the number may go up to 200 plus. I'm talking about people who seriously, at least 100 of those who seriously tried to commit suicide or were on the verge of, like they had planned and brought in things to commit suicide. So at least 100 of those.
So if I may ask, some of them were already known to you and some of them must have been people who call you for the first time. If you break that in terms of percentage of people who call you for the first time when they were thinking about committing suicide.
It's never like people call you because they're contemplating suicide. It's like, it's a very brief period when people are into that thought process. Actually, it will be right to say that when the thought process stops, only then this thought of committing suicide starts becoming stronger and stronger. So people, it's like someone pushes you or someone, all of a sudden you feel like reaching out. So it's not like someone wants to commit suicide and then they reach a psychiatrist or a psychologist. It's in between, there's a period that happens.
So let me request you to share based on your observation and understanding, not necessarily related to the people who approached you. Is there some age factor involved here? Like, would you say someone?
No age factor. Yes, we can say that, of course, there are certain age areas where the stress or the discomfort with life may be a little more. Say, when you're talking about 20s to 40s, that's the age where people are going through a lot of changes in their life or a lot of turbulences in their life. But we cannot pin it down to a particular age, because the youngest I have had is a student of 8th standard, and the oldest I have had was a person of 78 years or 79 years. Somewhere.
And Nitinji, what would you say is the common factor that you feel has pushed people internally to think about finishing everything, winding up and just leave? So based on my common sense analysis, they feel that it is unbearable what they are going through, or they feel that they were let down by people who they consider to be synonymous with their lives. Things like that I can think of. But what else can you add? And am I right in thinking the way I'm looking at it?
Absolutely. There are some of the basic reasons, but one thing which is very common is that all of a sudden they start looking at more problems than the solutions. It's not that people who commit suicide don't have solutions. It is just all of a sudden their mind starts focusing only and only on the problem part.
And what way um, you would recommend one should try to pause, come back, look at the scene differently? Is it possible for someone near and dear to them to help them navigate to the other side of perception?
Absolutely possible. Suicide is one thing which can be prevented 99.99999%. The only thing that we need to do to prevent an unnecessary waste of life event like suicide is an environment which connects. Believe me, if the people around are connected, if the people around are even little aware of what is going in each other's life, if we have something called trust between people who are living in, and if we can just reduce this burden of what am I what am I going to be judged about, 99% suicides can be prevented. It's like more than being strong, there's a burden of being shown strong. You'll be surprised. I got a call from France, and the guy, a 19-year-old, say, I feel like crying, but I can't cry. I said, why can't you cry? Is it a man thing that men don't cry? He said, no, because I don't want to be seen as weak. So the problem is, don't want to be seen as weak. Being weak is fine. Being seen as weak is not fine. So that is the problem. You know, the world all about how should I project myself. The whole lot of energy is being wasted on how should I project myself. If we can save a bit of that energy, if we can bring in a lot more connect between people, even if you have a few, say 2 people to connect to in your life, 99.9% suicides can be prevented.
So connectivity is very important, and
True connectivity.
true
True
connectivity is
connectivity.
important. Trust and finding a space where you are sure that you are not going to be judged. So that uh, environment helps in moving back to the positive side of life. And anything that you can recommend uh, someone who finds himself in the dark zone should practice, which would help them come back, because there is a sense of oscillation. Sometimes you go to that kind of a thought, then you come back, then you go back, and then you come back. So what way you would say one should address it and stay positive?
The most ironic part is most discussions are based on how to prevent suicide. Though the discussion is supposed to be about how to have a good mental health. Suicide is like how to save a person in the 4th stage of cancer. Why to let the person reach the 4th stage of cancer? That is the thing. Why not to detect the cancer at the very primary stage? Because then it is very easy to treat the cancer or the tendency to give in, the suicide. If we start taking care of emotional quotient, if we start taking care of how social quotient is of a person, if we start taking care of how person perceives freedom, family, and failure, 3F, freedom, family, and failure, believe me, we can prevent 99% of suicides. It's
Uh,
all about taking care of the mental health.
so
Very
Nitin,
small steps.
yeah, Nitinji, I think we will continue to have conversation on this theme with various aspects, and also we'll involve few more experts and people who have been through this zone where they felt down. But now, before we wind up today's conversation, Nitin, there are people who unfortunately are at the end that someone close to them committed suicide. So now, in their mind, they trace back, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. Maybe this is where I went wrong. So, in order for them to move on with totality intact, what would be your advice? And you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. First thing is, if they really want to be doing something for that person who ended his life by suicide, the first thing is they should make a promise to themselves to be happy, because they can't be a better homage. Not to think about what they could have done, but to think about what they should be doing right now. They should learn to be happy. They should learn to add smiles to their lives and the lives of others. It's so beautiful. Once you a person is killed in an accident, a road accident, the members can do two things. One, be scared of the road, or two, start spreading awareness about road accidents. So it's all about, they should make it a goal of their life to make people aware of this menace called death by suicide. First of all, they should be a brand ambassador of happiness. They should not waste their energies. What should have been done, what is done cannot be undone. Now they should look about happiness, how to create happiness, how to make the world around them more aware of this menace.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nitin Saraswat, talking to us about preventing suicide, or working in a way that mentally one remains strong and never think about that possibility. We also thank him for sharing his insight on how to cope up with such terrible experience if one has been through that. So thank you very much. And as
Thank
always,
you.
as we conclude, anything else you would like to add today?
Just the 3F we talk about. So if we talk about 3F, we take care of those 3F, believe me, we can keep preventing loads of suicides.
Thank you very much. And repeat those three F, please.
Talk about the family, talk about the failures, and the third F is the how you perceive life.
Freedom.
That is.
Wonderful. So, on that note, once again, thanking Dr. Nitin Saraswat, psychospiritual counselor, joining me from Jaipur, who has agreed to work with me on a series where we will be talking with other experts as well as ideas that help us stay strong and positive. With lots of good wishes, Ashok Vyas.